Bonjour, hola, ni hao. This is Ken from therack.co. In this video, we'll be unboxing the time-saving, best value, and one of the most effective tools in building a strong grip and larger forearms, these genuine fat grips. And they come in three versions: the 1 Series, the Pro, and the Extreme. Expect to see all three being unboxed, whatever that means at this state already, a discussion on their specs and why we think they're the best value, time-saving, and some of the most effective tools in building grip strength and larger forearms. Plus, a few details of comparisons with the other alternatives and Fat Gripz' previous versions. Therack.co is a strength stuff depot, and we specialize in awesome strength training equipment, whether for home gyms or commercial facilities. If you're interested to be updated with the new stuff on stock, the promos and deals on offer, tutorials, and more videos of unboxing, reviews, and first impressions, please like this video, subscribe, then turn on that notification on this youtube.com/therack.co.ph channel. You may also connect with us through Facebook and Instagram at therack.co.ph, wherein these contents will also be made available. Or please consider joining our newsletter at bit.ly/therack.co.ph-newsletter to get updates straight to your email. Before we begin, best we first establish that we will be using mm or millimeter as the unit of measurement in this video, since most bars shafts are communicated in millimeter or mm, which we think most enthusiasts will understand. So again, the Fat Gripz comes in these three versions: the 1 Series, the Pro, and the Extreme. And they come in these boxes. Taking a look at the packaging, it is what it is. It says all it has to say, what the products are about, what the main difference is between each Fat Gripz variant, which is located at the back here, who uses them, what they say about it, which fitness magazines featured Fat Gripz, how Fat Gripz is an original design with patents, and a whole lot more. My impression is the packaging design looks overly cluttered, really. A bit too salesy, car salesman-like, MLM guy vibe. But of course, the packaging isn't really the main course here. One important detail to take note of is that all genuine Fat Gripz will come in boxes with these Certi logo details, wherein you'll be able to check if what you have is authentic or counterfeit. You'll simply have to scan the QR code, provide the necessary details they're asking for, which I find a bit too tedious, then to be told whether or not what's on your hand is the real deal. So let's try that out right now. I have my phone here, turning on the camera, and let us check this Fat Gripz 1 Series. Scan the QR code. So here is the Certi logo. And there, it verifies whether or not the package that you purchased is authentic. So this Certi logo feature, plus a lot of other expressions of being genuine, including the embedded mark of patent US D616950S on the bevel of these Fat Gripz, just means that Fat Gripz seems to be really serious in distinguishing itself from clones. And being cloned a lot just means these things may really work and that these are somewhat flying off the store shelves. Now let's open up these bad boys and get to the real meat of it. Starting with the Pro Series. Let's open up the 1 Series. And now, Fat Gripz Extreme. The first important detail to mention is that the inside diameter of all of these Fat Gripz are at 1.1 inches or 27 millimeters, which means that it'll be applicable with most bars in use in a strength training facility. For some reference, most weightlifting and curl bars are at 28 millimeters. American multi-purpose bars at 28.5 millimeters, and powerlifting bars at 29 millimeters. For pull-up bars and dumbbells, I've rarely seen any that are less than 1.1 inches or 27 millimeters, which means most, if not all, handles in a strength training facility, Fat Gripz can grab onto securely. So the main difference between these three are quite obvious, and that's the thickness of each. To show what they actually mean, I'll hold on to the Fat Gripz variants alone, and also while attached to a 28mm shaft diameter of an Eleiko curl bar. In reference, I'm 5'6", 168 centimeters at 145 pounds, about 66 kg, with a 185mm measurement from the base of my hand to the top of my middle finger. And this is my hand on the Eleiko curl bar. So the Fat Gripz one at 1.75 inches or 44.5 millimeters, adding an extra diameter of 22 millimeters to any handle. So here am I gripping it. And now let me put it on the Eleiko curl bar so you can see what that means. My hands on a Fat Gripz 1 over the Eleiko curl bar with now effective diameter of 55 millimeters. And as you can see, I can still close my hands over it. So these Fat Gripz Pro, of which was used to be called the original Fat Gripz, first reason being it is really the original thick grip adapter introduced to the market as early as 2008. And original to simply mean that it's not a clone. The outside diameter of the Fat Gripz Pro is at 2.25 inches or 57 millimeters, adding an extra diameter of 34 millimeters to any handle. And here are my hands on it. I can't close it anymore. And now let me place that on the Eleiko curl bar so you'll see what it does to a 28mm shaft diameter bar. So here, my hands on a Fat Gripz Pro over the Eleiko curl bar with now effective diameter of 62 millimeters. So here, I obviously cannot close and clasp my hands fully anymore. And lastly, let's get to this monster, the Fat Gripz Extreme. And it's at 2.75 inches or 70 millimeters, adding to an extra thickness of 46 millimeters to any handle. So now I can't close and clasp my hands fully. Let me put that on the Eleiko curl bar so you know how that translates with the bar. And now my hands on a Fat Gripz Extreme over the Eleiko curl bar with now effective diameter of 74 millimeters. And that is freaking crazy. So why use Fat Gripz? For serious lifters, grip strength can be the limiting factor in what you can lift. For example, in doing deadlifts, your legs, ass, back, and shoulders are much larger muscle groups than your forearms. Hence, obviously, the larger muscle groups will almost always be able to lift the most weight. So on a lift, if your larger muscle groups can max to about, let's say, 200 kilograms, but your smaller muscle groups, your grip strength, only up to 100 kilograms, then you'll only really be able to deadlift just 100 kilograms. Now on the looks category, the only thing funnier than chicken legs are chicken legs on your arms. So much of us want to develop great biceps and triceps, yet we neglect the most important thing in looking good, and that is balance. Great biceps and triceps plus bad forearms equals funny looking arms, while good biceps and triceps plus good forearms equals you looking good. For some people, grip strength and forearm muscle building consists of intentional isolated exercises, from using hand grippers to doing wrist flexions. While these exercises will surely build grip strength and forearm muscles, some people would just find it too tedious to add more exercises to their existing training sessions already. So if you're one of those people wanting a stronger grip and build a more impressive, more burly set of arms without having to dedicate more time doing isolated sets, then Fat Gripz is definitely for you. Of course, even if you are doing isolated exercises already and you're fine with it, you can still implement Fat Gripz in your other exercises to further enhance the results. Fat Gripz is a means to make any handle larger. And the larger the handle, whether a bar, a dumbbell, a curl bar, or a pull-up bar, the harder it is to hold on to. Especially when there are weights involved, either for pushes and especially for pulls. The harder to hold on to, the more effort from your grip muscles is needed, essentially providing an effective stimulus to build strength and forearm muscles through repetitive use from one session to the next. And because Fat Gripz never fails to mention it on their packaging or on their website, the promo materials, Fat Gripz is quite well known and a proven effective tool by now, having been featured in Men's Fitness awarded by bodybuilding.com and widely used by NFL players, champion bodybuilders, special forces soldiers, UFC fighters, and CrossFit athletes, to name a few. If you're someone somewhat similar to my proportions, again, I'm 5'6", 168 centimeters at 145 pounds or 66 kilograms, with 185 mm measurement from the base of my palm to the top of my middle finger, and I could only get one, I definitely start with the Fat Gripz Pro, which is what Fat Gripz also recommends. Anyone significantly larger than I am obviously get the Fat Gripz Extreme. And anyone a tad smaller in proportion than I am would benefit from starting with the Fat Gripz 1. Though if purchasing more than one pair were not an issue, I'd probably pick up another pair, and it would be the 1 series together with the Pro. And reason being that at my current grip strength, pulling with more than a 35-pound, 15 kg dumbbell becomes just a waste of time with the Pro because I can't hold onto the resistance long enough to max out the work my larger muscle groups can do. With the Fat Gripz 1, since it is thinner, I can do pulls up to way more while still stressing my grip substantially. Now, if purchasing more than 2 were not an issue, I'd at least get 2 pairs of the Fat Gripz Pro and 2 pairs of the Fat Gripz 1. And that's because personally, I prefer doing supersets in my strength training sessions to save time. So it can be a hassle having to install and remove the Fat Gripz from one handle to the next on every set that I do. And for some pairs of superset exercises, you may want to use the Fat Gripz Pro on both of the exercises, the Fat Gripz 1 on both of the exercises, or the Pro on one exercise while the next with the 1 series. So yeah, best would be to get the Fat Gripz variant that would give your forearms just the right amount of suck, and for me it's the Fat Gripz Pro, and pair with the next smaller size when being used for heavier pulls, and that's for me the 1 series. Here at therack.co, we have these about 40% cheaper thick bar grips under our therack.co basics line. And I would imagine that most alternatives being offered in the market are similar to these. And in terms of purpose and thickness, they're practically the same with the Fat Gripz Pro. But there are notable differences that I think that if you can afford the more premium option, we'd always recommend purchasing a genuine Fat Gripz. The first most important reason why we recommend as such is the material that this is made of. While handling both, they seem to have a very similar firmness. It's the touch and feel where an immediate difference is felt. So most of these alternatives will have this sheen, slick, slimy feel from initial use. It actually feels like some residue is left on my hands with a whiff of smell, but Fat Gripz will just provide a tacky feel without any feeling of left residue. So this pair on my hands right now is the Fat Gripz original I've had for the past 3 years. And for a good portion of its second year, I've hardly ever used these. And yet its looks and especially hand feel is so much the same as if it was from day one. Absolutely no slimy residue, which I expect from other similar rubber-esque material, especially when left unused for a long time. I also remember having these accidentally thrown, dropped, and dropped on, and yet hardly any chipping and absolutely no flaking. These are proving to be quite indestructible. On active use, the only times I see residue is when there's a hard abrasive contact with a rough surface. So for example, when applying and removing from the knurled areas in a bar like this Eleiko curl bar. But even then, I can't imagine that there'll come a time when these would become unusable. Another important feature that seems to distinguish itself from the alternatives is its beveled ends design. So let me show you with the Fat Gripz Pro and our in-house thick bar grip adapter. As you can see, the one from the Rec.co Basics has a flat end, while on these genuine Fat Gripz Pro, they have a bevel design. I think these really do shine in two situations. So the first, when applying the Fat Gripz on a bar, these Fat Gripz are not exactly soft, thus not as easy to place on a handle, especially in tight spaces like a dumbbell. Because the ends are thinner here, it is actually much easier to spread apart to make an initial opening and push through to a handle. It doesn't sound much now, but what I'm saying will make more of an impact, especially if you have only one pair and you intend to use it regularly with different handles from one exercise to the next. The constant placing and removing of Fat Gripz can get quite annoying. The other advantage to having Fat Gripz's beveled ends is that it will work well with curl bars and other similarly angled specialty bars. So placing the Fat Gripz on any portion of this Eleiko curl bar won't be an issue, unlike most alternative thick bar adapters wherein the ends are flat. So let me show you what I mean here. So on this Fat Gripz and the curl bar, you can see here that the angles are actually fitting well with the bends here, also on the inner side here. So let me use the thick bar grip adapter alternative. Having installed this adapter on the curl bar, you can see here that it's not actually conforming to the bend. It's not a perfect fit at all. So if these were beveled ends like the Fat Gripz, then it would fit quite well. As a side note, the details embedded on the new Fat Gripz version look cool and somewhat useful. On the previous version, only a fatgripz.com is embedded as a mark on the beveled ends, whereas on these newer versions, you actually have first the measurement of the Fat Gripz itself. So this one on the Pro Series, you have here the 2.25 inches or 5.7 centimeters diameter measurement of the Fat Gripz Pro, while on the other end, you'll be able to see the patent number, which is USD 616,950. So by this time, you should already know that Fat Gripz is not kidding with their invention. While already discussing the differences between the older and newer Fat Gripz variants, I also appreciate the added knurling. Not only does it improve the overall look, but it surely doubles as added grip. Though I didn't think that this older version I used had an issue with slipping off my hands, It's great to see small aesthetic and usability design improvements from the one version to the next. It really does make for a really great overall product package. As a calisthenics enthusiast, grip strength is a must. During my first years in the discipline, I soon found out that my previous years of meathead, non-intentional, non-informed lifting could not cut it. My wrists were too weak and I quickly developed several wrist injuries. If only I had been smart enough with implementing grip, wrist strengthening routines, progress would have been much smoother. Then again, if only I had been smarter than that, I would have searched for the best grip strength and forearm building tool out there and discovered then that using Fat Gripz was the best way to do it. After experiencing such great masochistic pumps on my forearms after every strength training session, plus the strength and muscular gains I've so far had, my Fat Gripz have become an essential tool whenever I train. I am a believer and I think you will be too. So what training methodologies do you like to do for grip strength and forearm muscle growth? Do you find the Fat Gripz interesting and would you like to experience it on your next workout? We want to hear what you think. So please share your thoughts and comment below. TheRack.co is a strength stuff depot and we specialize in awesome strength training equipment, whether for home gyms or commercial facilities. If you're interested to be updated with the new stuff on stock, the promos and deals on offer, tutorials, and more videos of unboxing, reviews, and first impressions, like this video. Subscribe, then turn on that notification on this youtube.com/therack.co.ph channel. You may also connect with us through Facebook and Instagram at therack.co.ph, wherein these contents will also be made available. Or join our newsletter at bit.ly/therack.co.ph-newsletter to get updates straight to your email. Again, this is Ken from TheRack.co and thank you for watching this unboxing and reviewing of these genuine Fat Gripz, the One, the Pro, and the Extreme.